Hey toy fans, Aaron here. Tonight thought I'd take a look at the episode 1 release of Darth Maul. This is the Jedi Duel version, so let's head to that table and check this one out.
And here's a look at the packaging, and this was the look for the Episode 1 branded line. All your classic trilogy figures that were still released came out on the Power of the Force 2 cards, carried the same look but with the green instead of red, and in this case we had Darth Maul instead of Darth Vader in the upper left corner. And then underneath that Star Wars logo you see big and bright there, Episode 1. Off on the side you got your image of your character, and in this case of course it's Darth Maul. You see the ComTech chip underneath that, and then through the blister you see the figure with the included double-bladed lightsaber. And the name and the theme of the figure was carried on stickers at the bottom of the blister. So in this case, Darth Maul, Jedi Duel with double-bladed lightsaber. And then on the back side of the card, top third is about Episode 1, about the character you're getting. You get your little Star Wars Episode 1 logo on the upper left side. Below that, a very brief description about the movie. To the right, you got your write-up about Darth Maul, a little brief description about him. And then below that are the lines that are carried on the ComTech chip. Middle of the backside is pretty much your advertisement for the electronic ComTech reader. And then down at the bottom of the card, you got a lineup of other figures that were also available at the time. And looking at them out of the packaging, overall pretty solid looking figure. We had a few versions of Darth Maul released on the Episode 1 line, and this one, of course, as its name, Jedi Duel, comes from the final battle with Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon at the end of the movie. Through the head sculpt, things are looking pretty good. As far as the designs of the tattoo painted on his face, that's looking great. A little bit of a mix of color here. I seem to recall there were complaints when this figure was initially released that it was looking a little too pink on some of the figures. And for mine, I feel like the face or the head has a mixture of both. Around the little nubbins on the top of his head, it seems to lean a little more pink. The red on his chin is looking a very nice, vibrant red. But overall, the rest of his face, there's kind of this black tint to the red. So not all that even of a paint job there. Paint job for the eyes looks fantastic. I really love the way that orange just pops right out. The little nubbins or the horns on his head are looking good. Sorry, I keep calling them nubbins because they're kind of more rounded off. On this action figure, they don't quite look like actual horns. As for the upper body, things are looking pretty good overall. It's a relatively basic figure. He's just wearing black robes. But sculpting to it's looking pretty good. You got some nice subtle wrinkles sculpted on the shoulders and through the elbows. As far as the chest, the way the robes are sculpted, things are kind of bunched up. You see some nice lines in there to kind of highlight that as it gets tucked into the belt around his waist. The vest underneath on this figure painted gray. A little too gray for me. I looked in the movie and yeah, there were some subtle color differences within his robes, but I think this is a little too extreme. I don't think it really takes away from the figure at all, but it does kind of stand out to me as just not looking quite right. And as I just mentioned, nice belt running around the waist. Just some horizontal lines sculpted in there, running straight all the way around. And then on the bottom half of the figure, the rest of his robes kind of flare out a bit. Pretty decent sculpting to that. You do have some layers of fabric being shown off within the sculpt of it. Definitely a little tabard sticking out on front. You got some slits on the sides of those bottom robes to kind of give your legs a little bit of movement. You'll see when I go through the articulation. It doesn't really help all that much with it. Getting towards the feet, you see the pants on the inside of the legs kind of hanging over the sides of his boots. It's got a very nice look to it. And then, of course, some pretty decent sculpting for the boots themselves with some patterns on the front part. Some horizontal lines running around the back of the ankle. So like I said, overall, it's a pretty solid looking figure. As far as articulation, the head just swivels side to side, and you're only getting to the point where the chin touches the shoulders. So not a huge range, but I still think that's rather, realistic for what you'd want out of a figure. Shoulders are going to swivel 360. Both elbows have swivel articulation, allowing you to swing those all the way around, but the elbows themselves are sculpted in that kind of 90-degree angle. Each wrist at the edge of the glove does swivel all the way around. At the waist, you've got 360-degree articulation there. And then at the legs, you just get a little bit forward and back. Nothing huge, and these robes do, the robes are kind of stiff, but I think you get enough to keep the figure standing up the way you want. And as far as accessories, well, I guess technically you got two. You got his double-bladed lightsaber and the ComTech chip. As far as the lightsaber goes, things are looking really good here. The blades have a nice red color to them, and the lightsaber hilt itself has a very nice sculpt to it, very representative of how it looked on the screen. You got a few black lines running around the hilt. Some red dots mixed in there. Like I said, this is pretty much looking how it looked like in the movie. You can fit the lightsaber in either hand singly, or, of course, the way he's sculpted, you can get him to hold it with a double-handed pose there. And then finally, the gimmick that came along with these figures was the ComTech chip. This was the big deal for the time because, as it's stated, it allows your figures to speak, and with a little peg on top, it doubled as a figure stand, which kind of was nice. As for the looks of the chip, each one was this clear plastic. Off on the side, you could see the actual chip itself that provided the sampling to the reader. Or maybe it's actually just what unlocks the data file within the reader. And then in the center, you got a photo of the figure that this chip is for. On the back side, you got the name and the number of the figure and the little status description. So in this case, he's Sith Lord, apprentice to Darth Sidious. Let's take a listen to these fantastic sounds.
At last, we will have revenge. If the trace was correct, I will find them quickly, Master.
Alright, yeah, the sounds were not great on these Comtech chips. It's great that you got the lines from the movie. You know, I guess I don't recall if that was so much a limitation of the technology or the quality of the recording, but yeah, neither the voice actor or the quality of the recording or the playback makes this sound anything like Darth Maul. So like I said, it's a pretty solid release for Darth Maul. Nice paint job in the face. And for the rest of the figure, you know, black robes, it's really hard to mess that up.
And that wraps up this look at the Episode 1 release of Darth Maul. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this figure in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.